Welcome to video 5, where I'm going to talk about the 5 most frequently asked questions or FAQs. Now, we have already looked into why the CTET is essential for every teacher to qualify. We've spoken about your eligibility, the exam structure, the exam pattern. But even then, I would like to address these most common questions that my students have always asked me, and I'm sure these will be the common questions that you have too. If you're new to my channel, hello, I'm Dr. Swasti Dhar, and I mentor teachers and to-be teachers to clear the CTET in their first attempt through self-paced courses, both for Paper 1 and Paper 2. Let's begin. So the most common question number 1 is, should I do both Paper 1 and Paper 2? Now, earlier, a teacher who had done her B.Ed could do both Paper 1 and Paper 2. Now, that is not possible. But if you are somebody who is eligible for both Paper 1 and Paper 2, which is basically a primary teacher who is also a graduate, then you will be the only one or one of the very few who can do both the papers. But if you are eligible for both the papers, then it is my honest opinion that you should fully qualify yourself and do both the papers. However, if you are not eligible, then of course you only choose Paper 1 or Paper 2. So study your eligibility very, very deeply, thoroughly. Ask all doubts that you have and figure out whether you can appear for both the papers. If you can, then just go ahead and do both. That would be the wisest thing to do. However, if you are eligible for only one paper, then, well, that is what you have to qualify for. The second question is Paper 2 tougher than Paper 1? Yes, but very slightly so. So let me look at it subject-wise. CDP, Language 1 and Language 2, the syllabus is exactly the same, and if there is any difference, it is hardly 5 to 10%. In fact, when I mentor teachers, or if any of you take my courses, you will see that I ensure that anybody who is studying for Paper 1 also studies the CDP and language of Paper 2, because there's hardly any difference in the preparation and the questions asked in CDP and Language 1 and Language 2 of both Paper 1 and Paper 2. Now, if I compare the other subjects, for example, the maths of Paper 2 with the maths of Paper 1, then yes, the maths of Paper 2 definitely is tougher because it looks at topics from classes 6 to 10 and it's a higher level of maths. So maths of Paper 1 is 30-40% easier than maths of Paper 2. Now, why do I say that? That is because the pedagogy remains the same. The pedagogy part of Paper 1 and Paper 2 is exactly the same. So 15 out of 30 marks is already done. Yes, the 15 to 16 questions that you have on solving sums, the Paper 2 sums are of a higher order. So 40%, 30-40% difference between the maths of Paper 1 and Paper 2. EVS is a totally different subject which you have to study in Paper 1, whereas you'll be studying either math science or social science of Paper 2, and social science of Paper 2, yes, is tougher. So is Paper 2 tougher than Paper 1? Yes, slightly. And here's something that I would like to focus on when I mentor teachers. It is that you have to focus on the core concepts. So once you've understood the core concepts, then things are easier. It doesn't matter how it is asked. So is Paper 2 tougher than Paper 1? Yes, say 10 to 15% or maximum 20%. Question number 3 is Language 1 tougher than Language 2? So the answer to that is no. Actually, I would think Language 2 is tougher than Language 1 because we generally take that language that we are not well versed in as Language 2. So for example, if my English is good, I will tend to take Language 1 as English and Language 2 as Hindi. And since my Hindi is not so good, I struggle with Hindi because I have to comprehend it and I have to also understand the pedagogy. So both in Language 1 and Language 2, again, remember the pedagogy remains the same. The pedagogy of teaching any language remains the same. So if the same question is asked to me in English and the same question is asked to me in Hindi, I struggle more with Hindi. So the strategy is that maybe you could change languages, so you need to strategize, but the level of Language 1 and Language 2 is exactly the same. It depends on how you strategically apply yourself and figure out whether Language 1 is tougher than Language 2. So is it tougher? No, not at all. Question 4 is about the options of Paper 2. So this is specific to Paper 2. Should I take up math science or social science? Who should take up math science or social science? In fact, some student had called up and asked me that I'm a math science graduate. Can I still opt for social science as an option? And I had gone back and checked, and I've checked it, and I'm telling you that it's nowhere written that if you have your graduation in math science, you cannot do a social science as an option. So how do we choose whether to do math science or social science? The answer is simple. If you are a math science teacher, if you are teaching math science or you aspire to teach either a maths or a science or computer science or anything which the school would want you to have as maths or science, then you should opt for math science as your option in Paper 2 However, if you are an English teacher, a language teacher, or a social science teacher, then you should go for social science as your option. Now, your graduation subject really doesn't matter out here. You could have done BCom. You can still choose social science as your option. It depends on what you're teaching or what it is that you are planning to teach in school, which will decide the option that you have for paper 2. So that's my answer to what should be my option, math science or social science. And the final question is why TET, why CTET, why should I do that? So I have answered this question in detail in video 1 or video 2, which talks about why every teacher should do and should qualify for the CTET or for any TET, but mainly the CTET. But just to summarize, the CTET opens up doors for you. It opens up opportunities. It opens up the schools that you can go and apply to. You can apply to nationwide schools. You can apply to Kendriya Vidyalayas, the Navodayas. You can apply to government schools, and you can get paid at scale. You are eligible for the 7th pay scale now, and basically you are benchmarked as one of the best qualified teachers of the country. So why TET? Remember, after doing your CTET or qualifying the CTET, you are the one who chooses your school. You say that I choose to work in this school because this satisfies my goal. So qualifying the CTET is a no-brainer. Every teacher must qualify the CTET. Any TET, but the CTET is the one you aspire for. In the next video, we will talk about how to prepare for the CTET so that you can clear it in the first attempt itself. In the meanwhile, don't forget to follow me on Instagram or YouTube by my name, Learn with Swasti, where I give daily tips and strategies and updates about the CTET exam. I'll see you in the next video.